Hello viewers, welcome to your program. It is Economic Insights and I'm your host Paul Kingsley. Now in continuation with the ongoing report we are doing on infrastructure development in Nigeria, today we are taking a topical look at some of the challenges affecting renewable energy sector in Nigeria. Now with us on the program who is going to be doing justice to this is the Managing Director, CEO of Solar Force Nigeria Limited. I'm talking of no other person than David Del Emezurike. He's going to be giving us his own take, on the development of renewable energy in Nigeria and also the challenges affecting the sector and what we need to know and then how we can move forward when it comes to renewable energy sector in Nigeria. It promises to be an exciting time with him. I believe you're not going to regret it. Just sit back, relax. I'll be back after this time out. Thank you.
Solar Force is an affiliate of Solar Force Nigeria USA, and we're all based in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been in the business for almost 16 years now, and we have joint agreements with Chips and Wafers and with Solar Traffic Controls in Phoenix, Arizona. And we here, Solar Force is separate from Solar Force USA anyway, the way we structured the business. Tell you the truth. In 2006, I shuttled back and forth. Actually, I'm a real estate developer in the U.S. I build solar homes, still build solar homes. I'm a licensed speculative house builder in the U.S. So I was coming to visit my mom, and when I came and I saw some lights that are not working, and I started asking questions. Why are these lights not working? I said, diasporan, when you travel overseas, you look for something good that you can bring back home. And the response was very negative. And from asking questions, we decided that we are going to solve the problem. When they said that the solar doesn't work, and I found out it was a general perception, and it was a very negative perception to the industry, that this is a business I've been in the US for a while, and here in my country, it's not working. And we are sitting right in the middle of equator. The sunshine, the radiance is so high in this part of the world. Why is it not working? So we found out that the people that started initially did not do a very good job. They always say, my professor in school say, that first impression counts. The impression they gave was not very good. So it built this negative perception among people that solar does not work. So we took everything we have, we threw it away. We said, forget about making money, forget about everything else. Let's just concentrate and find how we can solve the problem. And that was how we came in September 28, 2007. September 28th of the last month was our 10 years in Nigeria. We thought it was going to be easy, that is something you can breeze in, do. No, I ended up spending 10 years. And during that 10 years, I've been shuttling back and forth, US, back and forth, running my business there, running my business here, trying to see how we can solve this problem. But I'm glad that the problem is solved anyway. When we came in, and you have an industry that is not recognized, an industry that the system has not been favorable to, the initial pioneers of solar did not do a good job in presenting the industry. And now the perception across the board is that solar doesn't work. It makes our job very tough. It was like going uphill and you are hitting your head on the wall every single minute. So that experience was traumatic for us, but you can't stop. Then you have experience. Once we found out what the reason was, it was a design related issue, that the way you design solar in Lagos is totally different from the way you design in Abuja, Maiduguri, and all that. They all have different insulation levels, and when you design, you have to design on that. So when we found that out, that was the first issue. Then the next issue is, now we find out that it's a design issue. Why is it not working? We engaged Energy Commission of Nigeria. They have been very good. I think they are among the first pioneers of solar. We worked the technology with them. We engaged them. Then we find out, one, most of the products at the time that were being sold are fake, substandard products. And also, there was massive fraud in the industry where people will doctor, change labels. If it's 80 watts, they will just change it to 100, change it to 200 just to sell. And when you buy it and install, the system will not work. Then you have people that will take a 100 ampere battery and change it to 200 ampere battery. Remember that the system has already been designed for 200 ampere, but because you want to make extra money, then you go. So because of all that, it was a big challenge for us. We did few installations where we buy local materials. All failed. So we decided to step out of the country and start branding our own product. We make our own inverter, we make our own battery, we make our own panels, we make our own LED lights. Those LED lights there are made for us. This is our LED lights that we make from Solar Force, the Solar Force brand. Why did we do that? We did this just to cover the issue of substandard product. And once we cover that area, now we can be able to come out and say, I will install my system for you and I will give you a warranty for 3 years or 2 years. Most solar companies don't do that. The reason why we do it is because we select our product, we manufacture our product, they all satisfy TUV certified products, underwriters laboratory products. So that's why we can stand behind our products. We don't touch what is made here. And hopefully we hope that we can start manufacturing in Nigeria. Over the past 10 years, the industry has been evolving. When we came in with solar street lights, because that's what we saw on ground that are not working. Solar street lights is solar anywhere. So we started with solar street lights, boreholes. We concentrated there to make people aware that solar does work. Then we engaged Energy Commission of Nigeria. We engaged Rural Electrification Agency. We work together as partners so that we can expand on the product line. Now we're not only doing solar street light and boreholes, we have switched over to home systems, installation for hotels. We have 62-room hotel we just finished. We have microgrid for villages in Sokoto that is going on. We have in Niger State that is currently going on. We have microgrids done in Adamawa and several other states. And we've moved. It's always evolving. Then the next level we are now is the grid scale high capacity systems. Those are systems that you can use to power a whole town, up to 1 megawatts of power. So you see the industry has been evolving. Solar is solar. It just depends on how big you want to get it. If it's street light or borehole or agricultural product, they all change. Now, the game globally all over the world now is with what is happening These 3Ds, that is the key word that is being used now. 3Ds, that's decentralization, decarbonization, and digitization. What that means is that we already have generators in Nigeria. We have that. So what we're trying to do now is that bring the generator in, bring NEPA in, bring the storage batteries and the panels in, digitize it to have sit on the background and make decisions so that you can have light. A lot of things will be happening without you knowing. So we have crossed the level of street lights, we have crossed the level of balls, we have crossed the level of home systems. Now we're talking about how can I power my Tama? How can I power Nigeria? How can we use solar to do that? The technology is there. So that's what you call the mini grids, the micro grids, the hybrids. So those are the systems that we are beginning to do now, out of the solar streetlights and the home system. And this is where globally everybody is going. And that's what will solve a whole lot of problems in Nigeria. There is one industry, ever since my 10 years in Nigeria, there's one industry that I've found out that is very, very efficient. And that industry is banking. Now, banks are very shrewd. They don't want to lose a penny. Now, when banks start installing solar system, it makes any smart person think twice. Why would a bank that does not want to lose money, why are they installing solar systems? We're engaging the banks now to convert their ATMs across Nigeria to solar. We're engaging the banks now to 95% of bank branches across Nigeria are dark at night. You believe that? You've seen that. Then how do we solve that problem? That's the problem that we have solved. We decided to use DC, to use LED lamps to light up their premises. So when they go at night, you don't need a generator to light them up. The DC light will light them up. In the morning, it goes off automatically. It's all running on solar. So if the banks are beginning to do that, and we are servicing the banks on that level, that means that something big is beginning to happen in the industry. Now, right now, we're pushing for the government to get involved. We're pushing for individuals to get involved, states to get involved. Instead of a state running on generator, now we can give them what you call hybrid system, where if you think on the generator system, the capital expenditure operating and the maintenance is very high. But the operating and maintenance is very high. The capital expenditure is low, In solar, the capital expenditure is high, but the operating and maintenance is low. It's very, very low, almost close to zero. But the problem that we have is that the money to spend initially on the capital expenditure for solar, that's a big issue. But once you cross that level and get the money and do it, your operating and maintenance is almost close to zero. Now, what we're saying is that I'm not going to go to somebody and a state and say, look, take your generator and throw it away. No, that's where a hybrid system comes in. We say, we assign your generator 20% of power generation. We assign NEPA 20% of power generation. We take 60% and get it from solar and battery storage. That four mix right there will drop the price of your electricity per kilowatt hour and also drop the price of maintenance of your generator. So those are products that we're beginning to bring onto play. Over the past 10 years, we're beginning to recognize that there's several challenges. There was the technological transfer challenges, which we have overcome. We have guys who have trained across Nigeria that are independent business people that we can always call to go and do work. And it's amazing what these guys can do. That the challenge on the technology was taken care of almost 8 years ago. The challenge we have now is first funding. The commercial banks are ready to fund projects. Banks out of Nigeria, international investors, are ready to fund projects. But you have the technology, you have funding, but why are you not getting the funding? The reason why you're not getting the funding is because the investors are afraid of their money, of putting in their money. Then that takes me to the next level. The next level is the government, we beg that they get involved. National Assembly and the presidency can come together and draft a policy. All we need right now is policy. We are at the stage of the train has taken off and it went up the hill and it's about to tip over down. It just needs a little push to tip over down the hill. That's where we are. And the only way we're not asking for handouts from the government. And I'm a strong believer in privatization, that power should be privatized because that gets it efficient, the competition comes in. But the point is that we need a favorable environment where the government will bring out some policies that are favorable. Let me tell you one policy that we can pick up now. In the US, if we install a solar system, you get 30% rebate. That's an incentive. China has 100% rebate incentive. So that means if you go and install a solar system that is worth 1 million naira, China will give you your 1 million naira back after installation. You go and install in the US will give you 300,000 back as incentive. Now, because of our economic state, we're not US, we're not China. These are very rich, advanced countries. We can curate a way, a very simple way that is very reasonably cheap to handle this. I say, when I do my module and I go to borrow money, there is interest payment and principal to be paid to the investor. After I talk to the investor said, I can't do this deal. I said, why can't you do this deal? He said, no, because the environment is not conducive for us. 1, 2, interest payment is too low. I suggest that government can buy back interest, buy down interest. Let's say the commercial bank now, their rate is about 23%. The commercial bank will not go down because you want to buy solar. If you want to engage the commercial bank, what do? You tell the commercial bank, I will buy down your interest by 10%. That means you charging me, who's buying the solar system in my house, the bank will only charge me 13%. The government will give them back 10%. That's buy down. Just to help the industry to grow. That 10% doesn't mean it will last forever. You can phase it in and say, look, after 5 years, we take it out, come back to the National Assembly, we have a hearing and see if we're going to keep it or we're not going to keep it. Those are policy. Another thing that we can do is that we work with several banks and we go through these things every day. Banks say, if we give you money and you go and install in an area right now, and you go to that area and maybe they decide not to pay you, how do we get our money back? How do we get interest payment paid? Now, another thing government can do to that is that, okay, where is the critical area when you borrow money, your fixed assets? That's most of it. Okay, what we'll do, we'll give you 30% of whenever you go low on revenue collection. If you install a microgrid in a village or in a town, we'll give you 30% of that if you ever go lower, so that you can pay back your interest. And it's not going to last forever. It lasts for the duration of the loan. After that, you phase it out. The equipment is there. That's things that will spur the industry and create growth, create employment. The government also can guarantee losing assets. If I go and install these assets and there is some type of issue, problem comes up, and they decide not to let me carry my assets out of there, or my asset is completely destroyed, government, whether local government, state government, federal government, ought to be able to say, okay, how much did you spend here? Here's your money, go somewhere else and do that installation. Those are things that would bring investors. Well, there are investors sitting. They just need a little change. They just need a little change in this industry. I'm not asking for government to start pushing money to us. No. We've survived to this point. We just need some policy changes so that we can get funding. And when you get the funding, then the industry takes off, because what? You create demand. Demand follows manufacturing in-house, onshore. Instead of importing, we start manufacturing panels, we start manufacturing inverters, batteries, on and on and on we go. Then when the manufacturing comes in, what happens again? Employment goes right up. It's amazing. Renewable energy takes a lot of money. The government has done a lot. I'm an expert in it. We work with the Energy Commission of Nigeria. We work with REA. We work with several other agencies. You know, when the technology comes up initially, the government takes over, because the common man in the street cannot afford to buy it, to install it. But the government takes over, do pilot projects, make people aware of that technology, and people start seeing the benefit of that technology, then they start dabbling into it, and with that the price start dropping down. The government has spent a lot of money into solar, but it's money worth spent. If the government did not spend any money, we wouldn't be where we are now. We will not cross past solar street lights. We will not cross past boreholes. Now we are talking about heavy grid tie system, grid scale systems. We're talking about megawatts generations. There's no way we can do that if the government did not spend money. But I'm not saying that the government should continue to spend money, because how much are you going to throw into it? But government should, the only thing we need right now, to tell you the truth, is policy changes. That's all. Funding, we found out that we had an issue with funding. There are people to lend, but the lenders will say, we need some policy changes. We're not comfortable in lending money here. So if the government can step up and say, okay, what is it that you guys need us to change? What do you guys that need us to do for this industry to take off? And what is there for the government? Let me tell you what is there for the government. We have a teeming population today. We need to provide jobs for them. We have tried it. We train our own employees. I mean, we take them from the street without college education, and we take them from the street, train them, send them out there. That's why I can tell you now that we have engineers in the 36 states of the Federation. What happened? We train them, we pick them up from everywhere: Borno, Bauchi, Taraba, Yobe, Sokoto, Ogun, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Cross Rivers, all that. We pull them up, we train them, and they're all there. What happens if I have a problem in Port Harcourt? I give one person a call, go and take care of it. If I have a problem in Kaduna, I give somebody a call in Kaduna to take care of it. So do you now can imagine the kind of job that will be created? These guys, what can be done if we can bring these investors, make them a little comfortable? Do you now imagine what can happen in the industry? We're not asking government to spend money. Government has spent a lot. They spent enough, because I'm there. I've been in it for 10 years. They've helped to move the industry from point A to point B. That's the way it happens in any new technology. The government takes it over, push that technology, grow that technology, push it out there for the masses to get involved. And that's where we are. Paul, to tell you the truth, quackery is everywhere. any country of the world, there's quackery. You're always going to have that. But again, awareness is very, very important, which is the major thing that we do here. Initially, about 7 years ago, we engaged the Standard Organization of Nigeria. We made several presentations with them, and they are good. Now, Standard Organization is all over the world. Before you ship your product, you call them. They come in, call Intertech. Intertech comes in, inspect the product, and SunCap certified is written here. And they give you a certificate of conformity. You take your certificate of conformity because Intertech has inspected it, and you turn it in here in Abuja, and now it has gone automated. It's in the system. So before you clear your goods, they make sure that it's SunCap certified. What that means is that when I place an order for a panel, I pay for that order to be inspected by SunCap. SunCap has an agency that works with them anywhere in the world called Intertech. Then Intertech, at my expense, I don't have to do it. I can bring it in, find a way, and wangle it in. No. But we go ahead and pay the fees. Intertech inspects it, give us certificate of conformity, we give it to customs, we clear our goods, and we are proud to put in Nigerian mark of quality, SunCap satisfied. We're proud to do that. Now, that eliminates the quackery products. That eliminates all the doctored and all the bootleg products. Because what if it doesn't have SunCap certification out? Another thing is that all the products, when we go to buy, we make sure the agency's UL Underwriters Laboratory is satisfied. We make sure that TUV is satisfying that product. So we just don't go to buy. If you read our profile, it will tell you that our mission is to bring quality, practical, cutting-edge technology into Nigeria. Quality. We don't go for anything. We don't. So that's why we decided we're going to start manufacturing ourselves. And now we are manufacturing, designing out of Nigeria, which eventually we're going to start doing that here. Just to get rid of your question, the quack products, to get them out of the way. We are the first company in Nigeria now in solar that can give a warranty of 3 years. How can I give a warranty of 3 years if I don't know my product? I know my product. I know where I'm buying them. I know where I'm manufacturing them. I know what is required to manufacture them. So after I do it, I'll say, look, Mr. Paul, I'm installing this in your house and I'm going to give you 3 years warranty. Wow, you give me 3 years? Yes, I'm standing behind it. Every year I'll give you a call. I say, how is the system working? You say, it's working okay. And that 3 years warranty might even go more than 3 years. Might go 5, 6, 7. You never know. So the reason why I can do that is because I'm using original products that are certified internationally, not only SunCap. So another thing we do is that if the product is not sold in any of the developing nations, we don't buy them. It has to be sold either in the US, the company must have a presence in the US, the company must have a presence in UK or Germany or Spain or Japan before we touch it. Fortunately for us, the prices are coming down. I remember in the 80s when I just finished my undergraduate and I decided to come home. And that time they had computers all over. And as soon as you hit Airport, you see all kinds of computer science. And computers were a box and a monitor. And they were selling each for about $4,000 and $5,000 at that time. But today, This is my computer. My iPhone is my computer. An iPhone 6, I buy it for $600. Now, in solar business today, I remember when we just came in 10 years ago, we used to buy a 1 watt. A watt of panel was costing $3 per watt. But today, if I tell you how much it's going for, you'll be shocked. It has dropped up to 60%. Per watt of panel is going for about less than $1. And now, these are chip-based technology. They're in the same they're married together with computers and iPhones. So as time goes on, the prices will continue to drop. It's amazing. The street lights, when we came in, it was about 1.2 million a piece. Do you know how much we sell in street lights now? Solar street lights, 200,000 naira. So the price has continued to come down. And I want that to happen. And it will continue to come down. And it will happen. So that's what will bring solar to a way better advantage over hydrocarbon power generation. That's where the world is going. So for a common person now, the price has come to a point that depends on your economic level. Before, it used to be for the super rich, the rich. Now the middle class in Nigeria are affording solar and putting their houses in their, regular people are beginning to do it. I have people that come here that make $100,000 naira a month, and they come in here and they buy solar, and we'll give them a little credit to pay us over 3 months, and they will install in their house. So the prices are coming. The prices will still come down. We expect in the next 2 years the prices will drop tremendously. So the prospect is huge. The prospect is very good. The prospect is good for Nigeria, period. So the industry is very promising in terms of pricing now. And as we keep chucking along this road, we're going to get to the point where we're going to be buying a watt of panel for 25 cents. Less than 25 cents. When you get that, it's a game changer. I'm going to give you one example, and it's a true story. 94 years old woman with 2 panels, 2 batteries on a mule going up the hill that is about 1,800 feet above sea level. I was an eyewitness. 84 years old woman. She went down from Mexico. She went down to the street market, bought some panels, took it up, used some piece of wood and installed it. Voila, she has light in her village. And you can sit down and look up the mountain and you see light. This is 84 years old woman. That's where I want Nigeria to be. Whenever I go to Banex Plaza, I get a kick out of it. I see these guys with iPhones, pieces them, turn them in little pieces, put them back together. Why can't we have that in solar? I might say that and you say, where are you going to be? Who cares? We need power. If we can have our boys engage in it, which we have entrepreneurial boys that will engage in these things, they will buy from us. They can buy from any other company. Our stakeholders are ready. All we need is to make it as common as we can make it, that every single person can be able to go and buy a solar system, put it up there, and he has power. That's one. Well, to tell you the truth, what has been happening in the world globally now, I had just answered what you said. The world has changed. We are on a new age. The phenomena is awesome. So what we see happening is that the grid system, when I say grid, is the national electricity network. The grid pool, when you pull them together, That's what gives you the total production of electricity for that particular country, including renewable and all that. Now, the reason why I tell you the grid is dying, and some people in grid business might think that I'm not right, what I'm saying is not correct. But for us here in Africa, with our culture and the way we are, and the level of our economic situation, the grid is dying. Why is dying is this. If I generate 100 kilowatts of electricity here in Abuja, 100 kilowatts, I'm going to transmit it, maybe it's needed in Kaduna. Kaduna is about 2 kilowatts, 200 kilometers from here. When I transport from here to Kaduna, 100 kilowatts, 100 megawatts, do you know how much I will be getting? I will be doing well if I get 60 megawatts. I just lost 40 megawatts. And now remember, that 100 megawatts that I generated was generated through what? Gas, diesel generation. And what is the highest cost in gas, diesel generation? Operating and maintenance. So if I buy diesel at so much cost, or liquefied natural gas to get that generator going, and after I spend all that money, then I transport it through the grid, and it goes to Kaduna, and all I'm getting in Kaduna is 60 megawatts. I just lost 40. And that's why you can't make any money. The new word is generation at the point of use. That is the new word. Then Nigeria Electric Regulatory Commission called it captive power. Let me tell you what government has done, which is great. So when you talk about government and what they are doing, there's a lot going on behind closed door that an average regular Joe does not know. Electric Regulatory Commission came up with what you call captive power and deregulated licensing and put a cap to, if you can generate 1 megawatt down, you don't need license. Go and generate and sell. That's a big feat. That's one. Two, feed-in tariff. If you in your house can generate electricity from on top of your roof, and you can feed it into the grid, into NEPA, we'll give you credit. And you hold that credit so that you can apply it towards your utility payment. Those are things that are coming on board. You may not know that, but it's there. Okay? So, when you transmit, now, transmission, putting those poles, putting those high voltage tension lines going is very expensive. The world today with cyber security, with cyber attacks on grid networks, with climate changes, natural disasters, it makes grid very, very, very compromised. What the world is switching to gradually is generation at the point of use. I come into Abuja, Maitama, I find out Maitama needs 2 megawatts of electricity to keep Maitama going. I go to one end and put 1 megawatt, I go to another end and put 1 megawatt, I run it through, Maitama has power. If anything happens to Nasarawa, it doesn't affect Maitama. If anything happens to Maitama, it doesn't happen to Nasarawa. And that's not all. The money is not there. Two, deployment of solar. I can deploy 1 megawatt in 3 months. 3 months. Let me tell you, this might come up later, but I might as well bring it on now. The last time I checked, the total power generation in Nigeria was about 6,800 megawatts. I don't know how much it is today. I don't know. The last time I checked, you can write it up to 7 megawatts, which is 7 gig. Okay. Now, out of that 6,000, 800 megawatts, 60% or 63% goes to residential use. The other 25 goes to industrial. 15 goes to public use, that's government. Okay, commercial takes maybe about 18. Now, let me ask, my calculation, my math may not be right, but I'm just trying to explain something to you. Now, if you take residential use only, which is maybe, if you translate that, do the math, it gives you maybe 4,000 something megawatts. If you take that and so the residential sector is the only the sector that is very receptive to solar right now, and the government sector. Okay, so if I just give solar, renewable energy, 50% of that 60 of residential use, you're talking about 2,000 something megawatts for solar. Now, do you know the impact that we have on electricity in Nigeria? Do you know the impact that we have on job creation in Nigeria? These are practical things that can be done now. The day I checked, I was shocked. Residential consumption of electricity is 60-something%. Residential. And residential sector is the sector that is always crying. Are they not the ones that are crying for power every day? Me and you? Are we common people? Now, if we start, one, give them the funding, liberalize borrowing, give them incentives, find the money, borrow from the bank. Government doesn't want to get involved. You don't want government to get involved. And residential sector, 50% goes and installs solar in their system. They relieve another 2,000 megawatts that we can use for our industrial development. Use it and build factories. So what are we talking about here? It's there. First of all, something I want to bring out is that I'm a home builder. I'm a real estate developer. I'm equally a solar installer in the United States. And I'm equally here doing the same thing. One thing I learned in home building, when you see a house go up, when you're developing, we call it estate here. In the US, we call it subdivisions. Here, we call it estates. When a state is being developed, you cut the trees, put the road, the utilities, and all that. Do you realize that the time that is put into to get to that point, it takes more time than building the actual house? It takes more planning. You can plan for 2 years, 3 years. When you finish this, then you get your plat, you get your approval, then you start building houses. I can build a house in 2 months. I can build a house in 3 months. But planning to get it done takes time. The same way. In solar today, in electricity today, business today, it takes a lot of planning. You have to realize the problem that we have didn't start today. There are a lot of issues that are converging at the same time. One, you have population increase that's putting pressure on our grade pool. I can give you an example. My kids are grown. When they grew up, they find their own houses. And they are living in their own houses. Is that not putting pressure on the grade system in Atlanta? Of course. But the difference is that Atlanta has consistently planned to add on to what the requirement of the population over the years. So we've planned for that in Nigeria. But the government now is implementing those things, bringing those into light. But at the same time, more people are being born. It makes planning very hard. Okay? There is pressure on our infrastructure. There's pressure on infrastructure. There's pressure on everything here in Nigeria. And so it's not something that you're going to see happen overnight. It's a process now, the way I see it. But the process is like choosing the right process to reach to your destination. The destination is for us to eventually in Nigeria go 100% renewable. Who has done that or who is doing it? Hawaii just announced that by 2020, it's a big ambition, let me tell you, that they will go 100% renewable. What Hawaii has is what Nigeria has, generators. They import their diesel, their liquefied natural gas. It's a small island in the middle of the Pacific, but they have to buy to run their generators. The only thing they also have is geothermal, heat coming out of the ground, which is converted to steam. They use to run the turbines and generate electricity. But it's not a lot of them. It cannot solve all their problems. What Hawaii did, part of our partners in the US, decided that first what we'll do is to change all the lights to LED. LED will save you 85% on energy consumption. They did that, passed some laws that requires every single house to use LED in their houses. As soon as they crossed that level, they kicked out rollouts of incentives, say, look, by 2020, we are going to go 100% renewable. Germany, if I'm correct, if I'm not making a mistake, they're close to 85% renewable. Germany. Spain, close to 60 or 70% renewable. US is catching on to that as well. So the whole countries of the world are switching over to renewable. Nigeria is not an exception. Nigeria can do it. Nigeria is equally doing it. We are so blessed. I was surprised the other day when I went to Rural Electrification Agency and I saw that they have a renewable energy unit. I've never seen that before. I said, oh God, this is what we've been asking for. You guys have renewable energy units. Now I have a place to come that we can get things done. Then the minister is a visionary guy. He understands, he's a strong solar advocate. Minister of Power, strong solar advocate. He has the vision and he looks at it and says, look, we can't only depend on fossil fuel generation through generators. Then let's look for other sources to augment what we need on power generation. And it happens that in the northern part of Nigeria, we are sitting on kilowatts, gigawatts of electricity, trillions of gigawatts of electricity. The problem is what? Harnessing it. How do we harness it? Back again to policy, funding. The electricity is there. It's like I have gold on the ground. I don't have the equipment to go and dig it, and I'm trying, and I contacted some people, please help me go and dig out this gold. I have a lot of gold here. And they said, well, we can't help you, but we need you to give us guarantee on this, and this, and this, and that. I said, okay, I have enough gold. I'll give you that guarantee. Let's keep moving. That's where we are. So where we are now is at a very good position, but there's a lot of transitions going on. Those transitions, the government is trying to manage because there are a lot of things that you don't know that is happening behind closed door. That when it starts, they start to roll it out, maybe at that time our population will go up again. That's catch-22. Are you following me? We come down, we plan, we put it all together, and we say, okay, this is how we're going to do it, this is where we are. By the time you start doing it, the population goes up again, then your NEPA start going out. Okay? If you go back from now to the past, in the 70s, what we are generating now is not the same thing as what was generated then. Okay? So there has been increases, but also equally there has been increases in population. There has been drag on infrastructures. So I want everybody to understand that. So we have a power problem. And that power problem is a global issue, except the developed world. industrialized nations. Every single group, developing nation or third world country, so they call it, is having the same hiccups, the same code that we are having. South Africa is right about 47,000 megawatts right now, South Africa. And they still need more. Don't have enough. Kenya, I don't know how much they're running, but Kenya is the solar ground zero for Africa. Can you believe that? Kenya is the solar ground zero for Africa. And don't be surprised, one day they'll be shipping their stuff here and selling on solar. Paul, I'm glad you asked this question. Sometime last week, somebody walked in here and said, look, what can we get the youths that the militants need training and all that? What can we do for them? They said, well, we're going to put it on next year's budget. What do you suggest for us? I said, you know what we do? I said, we'll grab these youths, get them together, train them. Once we train them, we give them packages of tools that they can use. And then we install solar systems at their sites where they're going to be doing their work. And we let them loose. At this time, I need more engineers. I don't have enough. If you're coming, you see some boys standing out there. Those boys work for me. They didn't go to college. They didn't go to no university. What I do, I see them, I pick them up, I train them, and I say, go and do this. So, the youths, I was once one, and I experienced the same thing as they experience today. The pressure of being lonely, not doing anything, sitting at home, you don't know. The worst part of it is the uncertainty of not knowing the direction of your life. I feel for them. I do. But let me tell you, every time I go to Banex Plaza, it's a big inspiration for me. Because these guys can take a phone and piece. They're creating jobs for them there. What I can encourage is solar is the way to go. We are here to help. We're here to train. If there is a program from an individual, from government, from private businesses to help train them, have them as entrepreneurs to do their own thing, we're more than happy to help. But all I know is that solar can generate so much jobs in Nigeria. That I can guarantee you as an expert in the industry. We haven't even touched the surface. What we are talking about is installations and all that. We haven't touched manufacturing. We haven't touched that. All our batteries are being imported. Other people are enjoying that and giving their citizens jobs with our money. We haven't touched panels manufacturing. We haven't touched inverter manufacturing. We haven't touched LEDs and all that. Those are things that can be done here and create thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. But we need to spur demand. We need to push demand in the right direction so that there will be awareness. People will start asking. We need to bring the price down that a common person, just like we have the phone, a common person can afford it, install it, do it himself. We're ready to do the training. Well, I'm a very simple man, as you can see, and I took some chances to come to Nigeria where I am a returning diasporan. I'm not completely back home, but there are a lot of plans to do that because this year I'm spending more. I've been here for more than almost 6 months now. Normally I usually come and spend 2 months, 1 month, and I go back. I have a love for Nigeria because when I left I was very young, about 19 years old, and I've lived in the US for about 30-something years. So at a certain age in your life, you have a yearning to give back, to do something, to bring technology back home so that other people can take advantage of it and create jobs. I'm a father of 6 children. They all have finished their university education and gone on their way and doing their own things. And I have businesses. I'm just like I told you, I'm a licensed home builder in the US. I'm a real estate developer in the US. As at right now, I'm still developing in the US. I have staff who are working, and I'm here. It hasn't been easy, but again, when you love what you do, then nothing stops you. When you love that this is what we are going to do, we're going to change the situation in Nigeria about power. How can we do it collectively? Then that's whatever obstacle you experience is really an advantage because it takes you to the next level. So it's nothing. You have to love the game. I do love the game. I'm a businessman. So it's not about money. It's about results. If you can't give me results, if you're not innovative, I'm not talking to you. No, I'm not talking to you. You need to come up with something. How can we improve what currently exists? How can we add value to what currently exists? Are you going to leave it only to the government to solve? No. You as individuals will come together and say, look, this is what we're going to do. Then if we need help from the government, we'll go to them and say, look, government, this is the problem I have. Oh, please, maybe you can help us out. And you be concise, specific, what you need. And I guarantee you government will do that. And I'm confident that the government will do that because they have been very helpful. Let me give you an example where, again, we are pushing for government to do something. Government, right now, when you import solar panels, is zero duty. When you import inverters, it's 20%. When you import charge controllers, it's 20%. When you import solar batteries, I don't mean car batteries. There are two differences between the both. There are car batteries, there are solar batteries. Not the doctored one when the contract is coming out, I go and make a label and slap on a car battery and say it's solar battery. No. We're talking about photovoltaic batteries. Those need to carry the same amount of duty, zero duty, as the panels do. That's what will drag down our prices here. And that's what government can do for us. Okay? So, that's the shy show that I just have to bring that up. But for me, I have several degrees. I went to school in the United States, and well, degree really doesn't matter. It's what you can give. There are people that has thousands of them, but they can't give nothing. But again, education is very important, and I'm a strong advocate of education. And in the business I am in, you have to be very highly educated because it's a lot to read. If you can see my desk, I get papers and papers and papers to read. When I go up in the bed, I have to read some before I sleep because you have to stay on top of the technology. If you don't stay on top of the technology will leave you and go. So that's what we want to bring our young men, young boys, because they got sharp minds. Tomorrow, my mind will be stale. I can't do it. So the opportunity I have now is to grab where I can grab and train them. So could you take over? I will retire one day. I don't want to be here forever. God made it for me to come down and do what I'm doing. But tomorrow, I may decide, say, look, I'm retiring in the village. It's a big difference. So I happened to leave this country when I was very young, at 19 years. When I was coming back, I can hardly speak Igbo. I'm from Anambra State, anyway. But now I've learned how to speak Igbo. But some deep Igbo, I can't understand you. But that's a little bit about me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.